but I still liked it. I thought it was good. I wouldn't call it a stinker, but they did. So, and this week's episode is brought to you by our buddies over at Mutiny Info Cafe, where they not only have a great selection of used books, records, and great coffee, but they also have a fantastic selection of new and used comic books, graphic novels, and more. Mutiny Information Cafe in Denver at the corner of Broadway and Ellsworth, and online at mutinyinfocafe.com. Welcome to Comically Gaming, episode 102, the weekly talk show where we discuss our obsessions and the week's news around them. A games, comics, and culture production. Catch new episodes every Tuesday, and please consider supporting us at patreon.com/GCandC. You can help us improve all our content for as little as $1 per month. Make their collar. This week in Comically Gaming, PS4 sales, Black Widow movie, Venom trailer, Shadow of the Tomb Raider trailer, and the #1 Infinity War sales. This is our Infinity War Spectacular. What up? What's up, everybody?
What's up?
What's up?
How's it going?
Whoa!
Yeah.
So
That was wild.
Boom.
What a wild week
Wild
with that
week.
movie.
Wild
with that
week.
movie capping it off. Whew.
Yeah. So I guess I'll kick it off my week. Obviously, we all watched Infinity War.
Yeah.
We all loved it.
You also beat a very special game, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I beat God of War.
Wow.
So,
Bravo.
took 5 days.
Man.
But,
The opposite of that right now.
yeah. So, God of War, really great game. I will say, like, I was thinking maybe the best game of all time, like 4 hours into it, and I was, just with I'll say the story just didn't grab me emotionally as much as like The Last of Us, and the characters, weren't as awesome as everybody in The Witcher, and so I don't put it at like the best game of all time, but I will say maybe the best like third-person action game of all time.
Right.
Like,
You can't put in that upper echelon, it's a good way to judge the game for what it is versus, like you said, Last of Us, Witcher 3. You can't put it with those if you ain't feeling it like that.
Right. Yeah. So but I just loved it. I mean, we all played it. I mean, just the fighting, the action, and it is so great. That part of it is better than The Witcher and The Last of Us. The combat is just so fun. Right. I mean, all the way through. But and the story was really good, and the ending was pretty wild. And that awesome game. I give it a 9.5.
9.5.
Wow.
9.5.
All right.
Yep.
Sweet.
Other than that, started playing Prey. Streamed that for the Sunday night stream.
Oh,
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
I like it so far. It's just, it's weird. I mean, it's a first-person shooter, but you can't play it like one. I mean, you gotta be real cautious, and those things will kill you instantly if you don't approach them the right way and like disable them. And you gotta be real. Some of them you can't even fight. You gotta sneak around, and you gotta be constantly on guard in that game because there's these enemies called mimics that can take form of anything in the room. Like there could be 3 coffee cups on the table, and you walk up to it, and one of them just bursts and turns into a monster and attacks you. And it can be any object in the room. So you're always on guard in that fucking game. Like when you're playing it with headphones by yourself, you jump a lot. Like it's kind of a scary game, but and also really difficult. But I'm liking it. I'm about 3 hours in. I want it to be my next game to beat. So
yeah,
I'm gonna try and stick it out. But it's hot. I can't play it for so far. I can't play it like God of War. I could have played 24 hours straight if I didn't need to sleep. Like it's Prey at like after a couple hours, it's like okay, I'm gonna set this down for a while, do something else. And it's just
Right.
a little too hard, too intense. I don't know.
Yeah.
But other than that, watch Legion. Did
Man,
you
I'm
watch
2
it?
episodes behind.
Dude.
I haven't been able to do anything. 0.
Sucks.
I know. I'm gonna do. I wanted to do it tonight, but I don't think I can. But I'm gonna catch up. I'm really behind on that, and it bothers me. But I've been so freaking busy; it's driving me crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's still kicking ass.
Yeah. Oh, if anybody didn't notice, Nate's not here.
Yeah.
Who's
Nate?
Nate?
If he was here, he called it the first stinker of the season. So I wouldn't call it that. I liked it, but it was definitely the slowest episode of the season.
Right.
But it was good. It was basically one focused on like 2 characters for the entire episode, and kind of like a backstory. It wasn't really too much of what's happening right now in the show. So
Yeah.
it did seem like kind of a filler, and it went on for too long. It could have been like 15, 20 minutes, but it went on for the whole hour of the show.
Yeah.
But I still liked it. I thought it was good. I wouldn't call it a stinker. But Nate did. So, and then,
That's unfortunate.
right. And then I watched Fear the Walking Dead. That's still good. And I don't think I read any comic books. Played a bunch of Pokemon Go. Played for like 4 hours today.
Jeez.
Nice.
Yeah. I just like it when it's nice out. It's like a reason to go out and be in the outdoors. And
That's amazing.
like gives me some. Like I don't just want to go walk around for no reason for 3 hours, but if it's a
Get
nice
your
day,
exercise in, yeah.
it gives me something to do while I'm outside and enjoy the day. So it's fun. And then I guess anime. I just still Darling in the Franxx is off this week. It's huge disappointment.
Did Nate mention what his gift was?
In our channel.
Yeah, I sent him a copy of DBZ Season 1.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because I'm sorry, he's not going to start on Super.
Right.
Like, you are not starting there, dude, because you would never watch it.
Any of them.
Yeah. No, you got to start at the right place. It's important. In that series, particularly.
Yeah.
You can't start in the last facet of that series and expect, because it ain't the same. Super's okay, because I had already watched everything before it.
Yeah.
If I watched it on its own, I probably wouldn't have picked it up again, to be honest. But
see, maybe I should give Dragon Ball a chance. It seems like the show that all the kids like. I don't want to watch like a kids show.
no, dude, listen. So we used to watch it in the early 2000s. I lived in, when I first moved to New Orleans, and we used to watch it when I got off work and got home, and it was just like 4 20-year-olds just watching it and getting geeked out about it.
Right.
I mean, there's some elements of it that no other anime really touches, believe it or not. It is cartoonish and silly in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the fight scenes are incredible, and they actually delve into some, believe it or not, emotional territory at times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, father-son stuff. It's crazy.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But still,
yeah.
When I did watch the new Persona, was really good.
How is that?
I'm loving it. It's making me relive the game that I loved so much,
awesome.
and see it in an anime. I mean, if you like the game, you like the anime, and
right.
So it's sweet to relive it and just to be able to watch a whole show instead of playing it. It's cool.
Is it good animation?
Yeah, it's really good.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then New Sword Art Online was still great, and then I started watching the new season of the 7 Deadly Sins, and that's awesome. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't. I want to say...
That's on Netflix.
Yeah.
The first season is, and it's awesome. And second season's really good so far, too.
I'm really trying to claw my way through Inuyasha before I move to anything else. So.
Right.
See, it's so freaking long. It's like 7 seasons. So.
Yeah.
And like I want to say like close to 20 episodes each season.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Oh.
All right, that's it though. That's my week.
Sweet. So, again, like I'm really disappointed that I did not get to play God of War to level that I haven't touched it this week. I feel embarrassed, ashamed, but life has gotten in the way. So, I'm gonna get back to it ASAP as soon as we're settled back in this week. But not a whole lot of games, like I said. I don't think I've played anything, but I did manage to read 2 things. I managed to read a bunch of comics, and I got a D&D book. I got the complete Gnomes and Halflings handbook.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah. So
You're a halfling?
Yeah, I just wanted some RP power, just some because again, it's second edition, but what they do is it's not about the rule system or the stats. They just fill you in. They give you material to use, sort of so you know the history of the races and that kind of stuff. Like
truly be Milby.
Right. Trying to be as Milby as I can.
Yeah.
There's an Elves handbook which I just ordered too, so that's on the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How much is that?
I think it was like, even with it being as old as it is, I think it was only like $10.
Wow.
Damn, maybe I should get that.
Yeah, Elves Handbook. I'll send you the link for it. No, it's awesome though. I love that. I love second edition for that reason, like I've mentioned. But my comics, let's see. I blazed through Descender, Volume 3 and 4. That's Jeff Lemire's space opera. It's incredible. It's still, I'm going to buy Volume 5. Like, I just finished 4 tonight. I plan on buying Volume 5. To get caught up, I think they're on Volume 8 or 7 now. So there's a lot of reading if you start from the beginning. But I read Mr. Miracle 7, which is still weird as hell. It's great, but it's also one of the more bizarre products that DC puts out. I read Thor 706, which actually concludes the Thor series. It actually did not end like I expected it to, believe it or not.
Jane dies. No spoilers. That's just my guess.
Let's just put it this way. There are a lot of curveballs in it. In just the last issue, which is crazy. But man, that was a phenomenal book. And anybody that hasn't read it, it's one of the best Marvel books out there. Jason Aaron was the writer. If you like mythology, you would freaking love it. It's a great book. I read Thanos Annual 1 to get me pumped for the movie. And it was awesome. So Thanos Annual is like a bunch of one-off stories, a compendium about Thanos. They asked like all the hot writers of Marvel to write their own Thanos story, and Cosmic Ghost Rider is the host for it. And it's just hilarious. It's like it's a bunch of it's either silly or really, really fucked up stories about Thanos. But the 2 highlights, Deadpool 299 was definitely one of my favorites of the week. That's about to wrap up. 300 is going to be the last one. So it's a crazy, crazy book, and it's hilarious. They actually mentioned Robert Durst and the Jinx in the first page, which I was not expecting. But I think my favorite book of the week is one from Image called Infidel. I think it's Image.
Okay.
Infidel.
Yeah, it's
new?
Yes, it's brand new. It's I think. Let's see. They only have 2 issues out, but it's It's a horror comic. It's a horror title. I can't really get into the gist of what it is. I don't want it to sound like it's a political book because it's not. But it's about a Muslim woman in an apartment complex, and she starts having I don't know what it is, like phantom sort of emotions about discrimination in her building and what's happening with her mother-in-law, and it gets really, really dark and weird and scary in there. So yeah, that's my highlight of the week. Infidel #1 and 2. Check it out if you get a minute. And that's my week. I want more next week.
Nice.
God of War.
Yeah, I've been playing God of War as much as I can whenever I've had free time. I wrapped up the final classes of school this week, so
nice.
When I had a chance,
Congrats.
and even during Corey's streaming, I was playing God of War instead of really paying attention.
Yeah, I noticed you were half there.
I was like, well, it's because
It's good enough.
I blame Atreus because Atreus is a little asshole. That's all I can say right now.
Yeah, he's a little bitch.
Yeah.
He is a little asshole all of a sudden.
Don't spoil it.
I won't. That's why I just said he's an asshole. I did watch some movies. I watched that movie, I, Tonya, the Tanya Hardis story that had Margot Robbie.
How is that?
That was actually really good. It was really good.
I want to see it.
The guy, it's funny, is the guy that plays Bucky, right?
Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, he plays the boyfriend, husband for Tanya Harding in the movie. I didn't recognize him until I was watching something on Jimmy Kimmel that had Infinity War cast, and he was saying that he was in I, Tonya. I was like, what the fuck?
So he didn't have the robotic arm in I, Tonya.
No robotic arm and no beard, no long hair, you know.
Oh, wow.
And what else? Oh, I watched. Watched this stupid movie that's fucking. I can't even remember. It's like My Hometown. I don't remember what it's called. It was some terrible movie.
All right.
Don't watch it. I don't remember what it's called.
That's pretty bad.
It was.
Do you can't remember the title of the movie? I think that's yeah.
Fuck, it was My Hometown Girl. I think it was what it was called.
Sounds bad.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Dude.
Why did you watch it?
Don't ask. Okay, I was bored. Lost a bet. It's just about this guy that's a country singer from. I think the reason why I saw it because he is from St. Augustine, Louisiana, and
What?
he goes to New Orleans and he hits it big, and he leaves his fiance at the altar, and then he comes back and finds out he has a 7-year-old daughter, and it's just terrible, dude. It's
Forever, My Girl? I don't
there
know.
we go.
What?
That's it. Forever,
That's it?
My Girl. Yeah.
Oh, God. So, what?
You should watch it, Dirk.
No! I will never watch that.
Vanessa will like it.
Oh, my God. Are you sure about that?
I don't know.
I don't know. What year was it? Oh, 2018.
Yeah, it just came out.
Did you watch it in theaters?
No, I watched it on demand. I didn't want to spend that much to watch it.
Is Travis Tritt in it?
Yeah, Travis Tritt is in it.
Oh, man, that's funny. It got 1 star on Rotten Tomatoes. 21%. 21% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, my gosh. No, it was terrible.
It looks pretty awful.
And I can't think. Oh, I know. I was playing Super Metroid on my NES Classic. My SNES,
nice.
right? And I forgot how to play that game. Where back in the day, when you went to jump, you had to keep pressure on the jump button to give you all the height.
Oh yeah.
I was like, why am I not? I was short jumping. I'm like, no, jump, you stupid bastard. And
Nice.
it's just weird going back and having to use start and select buttons on the controller instead of just pressing X or A or B.
Even games that say press the options button, you can still press X.
Yeah, it's super weird. But yeah, so I was going a little retro, playing Super Metroid, and
nothing wrong with that.
like half of the map was coming back to me. I was just playing, and I was like, oh, okay, I remember how to play this game. And then,
it's awesome.
So that was pretty much my week. It was mostly God of War because I like that game a lot.
Yeah, it's great.
I can't wait to get back to it. Let's do the longest one.
News of the week.
News of the week.
Number 5. With PS4 sales at 73 million sold, Sony braces for sales to slow. It's the first time their sales went down or something. I didn't read the whole thing.
I didn't read it, but I mean,
it says predicted decline responsible for 2% decrease in forecasted sales, though rising software sales are expected to help soften the blow.
Right. I mean, you have to expect it after a while.
Yeah. I mean, that's not going to be on the hype train forever. And
right. I mean,
it's still not as much as the PS3 in sales lifetime, but it is edging closer.
Well, the reason why the PS3 sold so much was because it had a Blu-ray player when it launched.
Yeah,
and
true.
Xbox didn't, and the porn industry sided with Blu-ray, and that's what leads which technology they're going to go down. That's what happened between Betamax and VHS. So that's why the PS3 sold so much.
Yeah, Xbox had the HD DVD. Yeah. So.
Blu-ray just sounded cooler. So I mean, it's expected. The system's been out for 5 years.
Right, and they're saying that they don't. Yeah, they totally expect it, and they're sort of betting on the software thing. You know?
Right.
Well, if they keep pumping out games like God of War and Monster Hunter World and stuff, then people are gonna just.
Yeah, there's huge games coming out. Red Dead Redemption.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah, they'll still be selling millions of games. So. Number 4. Marvel wants a female director for the Black Widow movie and has met with 3 candidates.
Oh.
So,
who's the candidates?
I want to see who it is.
Well, let's read it.
Oh. It says, so Jack Schaefer was, what?
Nate's going to be like, what the fuck, guys? Come on.
No, we usually kick this to the comment section, and I'll follow up after the show. Denise Gamzee Egruven,
I don't know who that is.
Zeo, and Emma Asante are all the 3 candidates.
I've never seen these movies.
But
Kings and Mustang.
Yeah.
Apparently, it would be their first movie with a female director, though.
Well, I think it's Scarlett Johansson to keep playing Black Widow. Then.
Sure, they will.
On Chloe Zhao because she did that 2017 film, The Rider, which won the Sundance Film Festival. So.
Yes, but whatever wins at Sundance, it never. Films like that don't translate well to the general public and audience. Like watching movies at Cannes, you know, general audiences aren't going to get into that. Only film nerds really get into that shit.
Are y'all excited about this movie at all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care who directs it, to be honest. I just want it to be cool. I like the idea of a Black Widow movie for sure.
I do too.
What would be great is if they played it off of that series that came out. You remember that one did you read any of that?
No.
Corey, I thought you might have.
The last one that came out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super spy thing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Not much like writing in it, a lot of action.
Yeah.
That book was awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would be a Black Widow backstory or if it would be post Infinity War. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that'd be weird. Yeah.
That movie just screwed everything up. Anyway.
Right. Number 3. Yeah. Venom trailer dropped last week.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it got clowned. It did get clowned.
People don't like the look of the symbiotics.
Steph from
Symbiote.
Not So Nerdy Nerd. She kind of agreed with me. I didn't have a problem with the teeth and the face.
No.
What I had more of an issue with was the weird symbiote shooting out of his arm and chest at random times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I just
the
thought
CG didn't look that great to me. It was the only thing.
I'm hoping that it's not a polished product, and
it might not be.
Yeah,
right.
But the movie looks sweet. I like how Venom's talking in his head, and they're talking like as we, and I think it could be good. Hopefully, it's good.
I plan on watching it. I mean, because my wife's she crushes on Tom Hardy, so
you might get to see that one in the theater.
Yeah, she's not crushing on Tom Holland.
No.
Nice.
Yeah,
I thought Venom looked a little cheesy, but the movie looks like it could be cool.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, it might work. I think people are not giving it a chance already. I see that.
Well,
it seems like.
The internet is unwieldy in criticism.
Yeah. They'll do that.
You make a typo, and people let you know that you made a typo.
Venom typo.
Number 2. Shadow of the Tomb Raider trailer.
Wow. That was awesome. Yeah. I mean, I know that's not gameplay, but still, that was sweet.
Not gameplay, but I've never seen such a brutal Laura. I mean, it seems like they always show her exploring caves and looking for treasures and stuff. She was just killing everyone in that. Like, she looks like she's changed, or something happened. She's just like stalking people through the jungle. I mean, like in all the games, you kill a bunch of people, but it's kind of like Uncharted, where they don't make out Drake to be like a ruthless killer. Yeah. You know, and same with Laura. But in this, she seemed like one. Like, for sure.
Well, she's been through a lot. I mean, since her following. She's been through a lot when you play, Definitive Edition and Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's set in the Last of Us universe.
Well, I hope that's good. And it's made, like we talked about before, it's not made by the same studio. It says like in association with Crystal Dynamics, but it's made by Atlas Montreal. But hopefully it'll be just as good, because I love those first 2 games.
Well, and then if they're going to include multiplayer in it, that'll be interesting. I wonder how they're going to do that, though.
Yeah, that's the question. I mean, you wouldn't.
Who's the other
game?
Who's the other person going to play?
Right. So are they just going to have like a separate deathmatch mode or something?
That's lame.
Or what? But. Yeah, so it's going to include multiplayer, and a bunch of news came out, but no actual gameplay footage. So
maybe E3. I bet you E3 will.
Yeah. Number 1, Infinity War exceeds expectations.
Woo!
Who would have thought?
And it beat Force Awakens.
So beat Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
But it couldn't beat the Phantom Menace.
So 250 Star Wars.
250 mil, man. That's crazy.
I mean, it sort of makes sense that I'm looking at the MCU as this, century. What? Because it's been 18 years, so the first one came out in 2000. So you know what? Right. MCU is the Star Wars of this century.
Right.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, and they have the full force that they were able to bring in it with the money. You know, basically, I'm sure Disney just wrote a blank check and just said, you know what, do what you got to do for it, because you'll make it back.
Yeah. So, tenfold.
Yeah. Yeah. It also set records for biggest Saturday and biggest Sunday.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I saw even seeing it when I saw it this weekend here. I've gone to opening movies, and only half the theaters filmed on the opening day, and this one the theater was packed. And it was just sold out.
Right.
So
Thursday night, I always go to the openings, and the one I went to, the entire Thursday night at 11 p.m. Usually it's not that packed, but I mean the whole parking lot was full.
Yep. Here too. So it's also set the record for biggest international opening with 630 million. And what makes this even crazier is that it hasn't opened in China yet. So they're about to
make a shitload of money.
Yeah, well deserved. Yeah. Well deserved. We'll get into that spoiler in a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's your news of the week.
That is it. This is our community corner portion of Comically Gaming. It's a little loosey-goosey because we don't know where Nate is. He fell off the face of the planet.
Without Nate, what are we?
What are we? Yeah. We need our...
Question my place in the universe.
We need our... we need our Supreme Chancellor. That's what we need.
Yeah, see?
So, this week's community question was, what do you think of Infinity War? No S, just one. Right?
Yeah.
So, we threw it up on Facebook and got a lot of responses, which was good. So, Albert said he wasn't bored by the pointless side stories, and he's willing to go see it again and again and again and again. Yep. Adam Z, or Adam X, I'm sorry. He said, is it Legion? No, hard pass. So I guess he didn't want to see it. Francisco said, there are two things in the movie that I wish were different and or kind of didn't like. Other than that, like Albert, I will see this movie at least a couple times more in a theater because I liked it so much. Gave me so many feels. Bill said, loved it, tons of action. Someone questioned my spelling. Chris said his tickets were for Sunday morning, no spoilers. Brian said he loved it. Jeremy said that it's only half a movie. I want to unwatch it and wait until next year to see the whole thing. Charles said it would be better if they had got some more mainstream actors rather than the B-list they signed up. Our Supreme Chancellor's patriarch, Kent, said he loved it. And Corey's. Not to belittle Corey. I was trying to just pick on Nate. Said he loved it. So much good stuff. Was hard to find a good time for my mid-movie pee break. And I told him just to hold it. Yep. And that leads us to our next community question, because you'll find out our reactions at the end of this show when we go full spoilers on Infinity War. The only person that doesn't get to talk is Nate, because we don't know where he's at. It's like, where's...
We'll get his... I assume he's going to talk next week.
He'll be late to the party and we'll just...
we didn't talk about it during... Well, I guess we haven't talked about the movie at all yet. But
no, we haven't.
When we did, the two-part thing, I do kind of don't like that it was split in half.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So that leads us to next week's question that looks like Dirk submitted. It says, have you read Bendis's take on Superman? And if so, what are your first impressions?
And we'll be covering that book in our CBBC next week.
We will. Yeah.
Action Comics 1000.
Absolutely.
I read that as Atomic Comics for some reason.
I still haven't read it, actually.
So,
again,
this leads us into every week we give shout-outs to all our new subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, they got channels, too.
And they got channels, too. Check them out in the description.
Yeah, all great people.
We will have everything down below us. So
at the bottom
to kick it off is, I think, Dirk.
The light skin phenom, Jedi Milo, Chris Dinwiddle, Alex Ash Green, and J Dog Potato.
Woo.
Yeah, I got Bert the Stormtrooper, Frankly Frankie, Total Retro TV, Moochie Meow. And Queen Bee Frederick.
Yeah, and don't forget Aaron Gamer 2002, Half Dolo, the Swash Family, Kevin Bennett 23, and Hannah Scott.
Sweet. So what are we giving here?
So
yes,
we got the coveted Name of the Week.
The Name of the Week
trophy goes to
only if they get all votes. But we do have a shortened.
They still get Name of the Week. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They still get Name of the Week.
It's not platinum. Unless they get unanimous. So I'm going with Bert the Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
I don't know. I laughed at Chris Dinwiddle, but that might be his real name.
So
I'm gonna go with Bert the Stormtrooper.
I'll go with Moochie Meow.
Nice. Moochie or Moki? I don't know if that's the correct. If we're not getting it right, Moochie, please let us know.
I think it's Moki because Mooch would have two O's.
Moki Meow.
Moki
Meow.
Okay, Bert the Stormtrooper.
Bert the Stormtrooper. Bert.
Oh no, she lost. Oh, I'm so sorry. But Bert, you are our name of the week. Congrats, Bert.
We'll get you like some HTML. You can put it on your website.
Yeah. He's got way more subs than us. He has like 11,000.
So
wow.
He's doing something right. Yep.
Get it, Bert.
Bert, he's not missing when he aims.
Next, I just a couple shout outs to the people that jumped on the stream. We had Dirk, Jeff.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
And then, then James H.
And as always,
this guy James H. had played the games, give me all kind of pointers.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was awesome.
I was doing it wrong.
That was awesome.
That's awesome. I appreciated it. Yeah. And then, as always, our loyal stream follower and channel follower, Captain Emo.
Yeah, Captain Emo.
Thanks,
what can
guys.
you say that hasn't been said?
And then I'd like to give a shout out to our new Facebook group members that joined us in the past week. Michael Jensen, Jeremy Powers, Justin Ida, what's up, brah? And Leon Frazier. No, me and Justin, we were in the Navy together, so.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that's how I know him.
Another brother.
We just called him Idaho because his last name's Ida.
Sweet.
So, as always, find us online for show updates and recaps, along with our writings, ramblings that we produce throughout the year at patreon.com/GCandC. Follow us on Twitter at GCandC.
And thank you to Fred Thomas for opening music and Xee Reiter for our logo. And don't forget, check out our Facebook page for a link to Teespring, because we are now launching merchandise.
That's right.
And
yes.
So you can check out the shirts.
Designed by yours truly. If you have any ideas you want to shoot over to me, or if you're looking for a product that's maybe not in the store that you would like, please leave it in the comment section in the Facebook, or contact me directly. Let me know.
Email.
If you want a mug, I'll put our faces on a mug.
No, don't put my face on a mug. And now we're gonna kick this off. Stay tuned if you're leaving us, because we're gonna be covering Infinity War. Full spoilers. So.
Oh, I thought we were doing spoilers on Forever My Girl. No.
No, we are not doing spoilers on. So
spoilers.
This is the point where you stop the tape, or stop the podcast. Stop the tape. Hold the presses. Stop. Go watch Infinity War. What are you doing? And then come back and watch it. And
sweet.
Next week, our CBBC, episode 103 will be Action Comics number 1000.
The Bendis episode begins.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's been Comically Gaming, episode 102.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for rolling through with us.
Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. It promises to be another crazy week.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We're jumping right into the Infinity War spoilers. We got first impressions to kick it off. I mean, let's... what did you guys think?
Thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean... let me put it this way. I would say like 2/3 of the way through the film, I was a little bit like shaky. It was going back and forth for me. Yeah. I was like, there's a lot of weird moments that sort of happen. I mean, the Thanos dialogue with Gamora I thought was a little strange. But from that Wakanda battle on was just bonkers. I mean, those action sequences were just.
In some ways, I would agree. In some ways, not really.
Yeah, I mean, it was action-packed the whole time. I couldn't find a spot to take a pee break. I just had to hold it the whole fucking time.
I just hold it for 3 hours and I'm good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good movie. It was like you could sum it up in 3 different reactions with laughter, shock, and then sadness and anger. Just sort of the whole gamut. It was a good movie. I think they did a good job at explaining what the Infinity Stones were for people that don't follow the whole Infinity War and story arcs and everything within Marvel. If you just strictly watch the movies.
Yeah. I was going to ask if Casey, have you read Infinity Gauntlet or anything?
Yeah, I read Infinity Gauntlet. I read the Infinity series from a few years ago that they dropped right after Avengers 1 came out to get people more acquainted with Thanos because, 90% of people didn't know what the fuck the after credit sequence was about. Right. So I've been excited to see Thanos. I've been excited to see the Black Order. I've been just chomping at the bit for this movie. I watched every single trailer. I had so many theories. Luckily, they put a lot of things in the trailers that weren't in the fucking movie. So my theories went all over the place, and not a lot of them panned out. A few of them did. But no, I mean, first impressions, I loved the movie. I think it's top 2 or 3 Marvel movies for me, up there with Winter Soldier and Civil War, which are my 2 favorites. They're always kind of battling for neck and neck. I felt like Thanos was an amazing character. I felt like all of the characters had their moment to shine. I mean, I wish I had more time with all of them, but, I'm the kind of person that would have watched this movie twice if it was 10 hours long. So, I could never get enough of this stuff. I feel like they did do a great job of explaining the Infinity Stones. I thought they did a good job of using the Infinity Stones in a lot of ways. I mean, the Power Stone's the one he used the most, but they used the Reality Stone in some interesting ways. The Time Stone, obviously, in one interesting way. And I think that the stakes felt high really throughout the entire movie. I have 2 complaints that I'll get to later, but overall, I think the movie's high 9s, 9.7, 9.8. I mean, it's pretty great, and with all the things I went in wanting, I didn't get all of them, but there's only so many things you can fit in a 2.5-hour movie, and at a certain point, you have to just sit back and go, we lived to see this movie happen, and as a nerd, it feels like a glorious gift from God that we get any of this stuff. So
absolutely.
The fact that kids know what Thanos is miraculous.
Right, and I'm going to talk about this when we get to the Thanos section, but there were actually some improvements, I think, on how Thanos has been presented in some ways in the comic book. But I'll talk about that. So comic delivery, I mean, I know that there were a lot of zingers for that first,
there was a lot of zingers
hour and a half movie. Before they started mixing in a lot of the action sequences, the zingers were there. I don't know if they were on par with, say, Thor Ragnarok.
No, they were. I think in each of their own they were.
Yeah, I loved the Peter and Thor. Back and forth. Star-Lord and Thor. That was hilarious.
Well, and then, I loved Quill and Iron Man and Tony Stark.
Yeah, that whole back and forth was great.
Tony calling Doctor Strange the Wizard.
Dude, honestly,
he kept calling Rocket the Rabbit.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't compare it to Thor Ragnarok because Thor Ragnarok is like one step away from like a comedy. It's mostly comedy.
Yeah.
I think this movie delivered on every single person you expected to be funny, and some you didn't. Yeah. Like Mantis with like the taking axe and kicking names. Like my favorite line was when Stark called Ebony Moss Squidward. That was like one of my favorite bits.
Yeah, people were
all the pop culture references. That you guys ever see this really old movie Aliens? I mean, the movie was hilarious while still letting you know that people were in danger a lot of the time. So it's a really hard thing to balance those, and I think it did it as well as any movie ever has.
Right. Yeah. Thanos, calling Thanos Grimace.
That was fantastic.
Knock that fucking ball sack of a thing off your face.
It's like they took some of the fan stuff and used it. Because that was...
Right.
Yeah. No resurrections this time. Boom. Like, that shit was rough, dude.
Yeah.
That was rough.
No, so... anybody else on comic delivery?
We don't really have a section for this. Just the start of the movie, I thought I mean, everybody from Thor died. Like they showed, you know, Korg was dead. Yeah. Heimdall died. Valkyrie, Loki. I mean, are those people all dead? That's the whole fucking Thor crew, and those are some of my favorite characters, man.
I think you're on there about 2 of them, because I think I was reading a little bit before the movie came out that Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, who voices Korg, was saying he has plans for Thor 4, and they involve Valkyrie and Korg. So I'm sure that we'll see that, like, the smaller Grandmaster ship, that they used that for Valkyrie, Korg, and a handful of people to escape. But, I mean, yeah, Heimdall and Loki for sure were gone.
Wow, I was surprised when Loki died.
I wasn't. That was the one person I knew was going to die from the trailers. I was like, there's no fucking way that you fuck up Thanos, you lose not 1 but 2 Infinity Stones. I figured he would offer it to bargain for Thor's life, which he kind of did, but he also betrayed him twice in 5 minutes. Like, you think he's not going to kill him?
Right. So that leads us into the next major facet of this tale, Thanos, who I've been sort of schoolboy crushing on since '92, I guess. So seeing him in film was just really incredible. But this was a very different take, I feel like, on the Thanos that I sort of know, and it actually is a really good take. I mean, he was a lot more introspective. He wasn't as obsessed with death as a living being. I thought that they shifted away from that in a good way. They made it a more feasible idea for him to be chasing, instead of it just being a woman that he was obsessed with and pleasing. And so I mean, I thought he was incredible.
Killing half the people to save half the people is a little more believable than like the comics for sure.
Yeah, I just don't think that would have translated to film as well. You know, they would have had to introduce her and have that play into it, and I think they just did a really great job of shifting it away from that and making it something that you could relate to in a way. You know, this continues the lineage of Marvel villains being relatable characters, you know, to an extent.
Yeah, you'd have to give him his own movie to let the comic book storyline.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would argue that they did give him his own movie, because this feels like a Thanos movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going to say, like, if you wanted to do Lady Death, you had kind of a shoe-in with Hela. You could just resurrect her in some sort of way, but, like, having just killed her, it wouldn't really make sense. So I'm glad they didn't go that way. I think it's more feasible for him to be a relatable villain when he's sort of an ideological person who's also willing to sacrifice everything for what he believes is right. I mean, the best villains are the ones who think they're the heroes. So Marvel's always had a problem with heroes or with villains, but they've always done great with their heroes. So why not just make your villain the hero of your movie, and then all of a sudden you get the best villain Marvel's ever done. Yeah. So he has so many levels. I mean, how many movies can you imagine someone like beating the ass of everyone, throwing a moon, also crying at the end of the movie? He's like the best fucking character. Like, it's insane. Like, he has so many levels to him, and you appreciate all of them in different ways. You believe he loves Gamora. You believe he knows he's doing what's right, and you believe that on some level he kind of hates that he has to do it.
Yeah.
So, but he goes through with it anyway because that's what he thinks he has to do.
Yeah, that's that smile at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's mission accomplished.
It's pain. It's pain behind that smile too.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Brolin killed it.
I mean, yeah, he looked so much like Josh Brolin. I mean, the CG, like, there were times that I thought it was a little shaky here and there, but there were moments when I was like, holy shit, that face is, I mean, just on point all the way.
Yeah.
You mentioned it on the fly there, killing of Gamora.
Yeah.
That was rough.
That was rough.
Yeah.
That was, I mean,
I knew it when they said, you know, what they needed for the sacrifice.
Yeah.
I figured that out right away. It was.
I mean, how about Red Skull showing up? That was pretty fucking crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Yeah, I loved it. Honestly, I loved the sacrifice of Gamora. I loved the way it played out. That she thought he was screwed because he didn't love anything. Because he didn't really think that he loved her. She thought he was always just playing her. But then we have that scene, that mindfuck Reality Stone scene in the collector's room, where you find out after she kills him that she kind of has a lot of feelings there too, some daddy issues, some Stockholm syndrome sort of issues over there with him too. So it's kind of a mutual respect and love for each other, even though it was, formed out of a terrible circumstance that he created. I really enjoyed the sacrifice scene. I thought that maybe that would be an easy way for her to bring her back, is that, it wasn't about her being dead. It was about the act of the sacrifice. So she doesn't necessarily have to stay dead. So, I mean, they could play with that a little bit in the next movie, but they definitely did some shit there. I liked that the Soul Stone hadn't been introduced for a reason. They had this plot line for it. And as a Game of Thrones fan, I know whenever something's going really good for a character, they're going to die. And we saw her dance, sing, and kiss Star-Lord. And I was like, she's way too happy. She won't die.
Right. Yeah. Another thing, I thought that the relationship between Gamora and Thanos versus what was established in the books was so much better in the movie because of that play back and forth and that genuine. So just for people that aren't aware, in the comic book, he sired like tons of children across the universe and really couldn't give a shit about any of them. I mean, he was not connected in any way, did not care about them. And so to give him something that he actually cares about and there's an actual relationship there, just gives him a level that was not in the books to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, they do that in Guardians 1. They set it up with him saying she's my favorite daughter Gamora, when he says that Ronan isolated her, which he was pissed off about. And he's honestly fatherly to a few characters in this. He's proud of Star-Lord when he pulls the trigger, even though bubbles come out. He's proud of Stark for standing up and says he hopes people remember him. And at the end, when Scarlet Witch does what Scarlet Witch does, he understands her pain and feels for her and respects her for what she just did. He's like the father of all of them. He's like this weird surrogate spatial, purple grimace father that no one asked for. But it's pretty amazing the way it plays out.
Right. So
transcends himself.
I mean, Jeff, did you have any thoughts about Thanos?
I didn't really know much about Thanos because I haven't caught up and read all the comic books, but I think overall for the MCU villains, he was probably one of the best villains they've had in a long run. The character development for the reasons that he did what he did was really well done, and it showed either in film and in the dialogue. Yeah. So you understood where he was coming from. You understood why he thought he had to do what he had to do. Yeah. And as much as he didn't want to do it, Casey said there was pain behind that smile at the end of the movie. And
absolutely. So that brings us to, I guess, arguably the highlight of the film, the Wakanda battle. Jeez. Wakanda battle and mass extinction at the end. I mean, I'm trying to think of what is relatable. I'm thinking about it's CGI, of course, a lot of it, but it's to an extent where, I mean, it's such an epic scope and scale of a battle that the only thing I can think of in terms of comparatives is like Battle of the Bastards.
I saw it. My first impressions watching it is they opened up that field on Wakanda, and they had the shield. Yeah. I honestly was like, what is this? A Phantom Menace when you had the Trade Federation attacking the Gungans? And then it was like a Gungan Trade Federation battle and Braveheart. Because there was a lot of call to the Roman Empire with their phalanx. They used the phalanx just like the Romans did.
Right.
And
it made... God damn it, Jeff! I have to interrupt you because you're totally fucking wrong. There's no way you can compare this movie to the Phantom fucking Menace. If anything, it's like Return of the King, where you have the fields in front of Minas Tirith. You have the internal conflict inside, just like with Glaive trying to get Vision and Wanda watching over him. And then you have the conflict elsewhere with the Hobbits trying to destroy the One Ring and the Avengers in space trying to stop Thanos to get the second to last stone. So it's way more comparable to that one.
Because they had a shield.
I didn't want to hear the Phantom Menace again. Never.
We made 2 Game of Thrones references and we skipped over Peter Dinklage.
I know.
As the giant.
That accent was horrible, though. My God, that accent.
It was like baby Tyrion grew up, is what I found. That whole scene.
It was so funny when you see him as a giant.
Who had the better impression of Thor? Was it Star-Lord or Peter Dinklage? They were both doing their Thor voice.
I don't know. I like Star-Lord. I like Star-Lord when he's trying to impress Gamora.
That was hilarious. But Thor's axe. Getting the axe was awesome.
That axe was
Groot's wood.
Supplying the handle. I mean, it was so well.
So hard.
This movie was so well written throughout. I mean, just little things like that, like throughout the film. That's what makes me want to watch it again. Try to pick up on details that I didn't see the first time, but those major facets, it's incredible.
Well, I will say, I told this to Dirk. You know, as soon as it got to Wakanda, I felt like that T'Challa was starting to steal the scenes. I really did. I liked his
him running
attitude.
Across the field was incredible.
I mean, they were in Wakanda, so he's kind of.
I kind of like that feel. I like that feeling. It wasn't until you see the Bifrost beam come down and Thor just comes out and destroys half the
people were cheering and
people were clapping.
That wasn't even the best. That was one of the most amazing battles. But you have the battle on Titan, you have the battle in New York against Squidward, Black Dwarf. I mean, that shit was insane. Like when they come outside and it's just terror and people are running around and all that wind is kicking up and then they just show up and Doctor Strange just gets out Doctor Strange super hard by Ebony Maw. Yeah. I mean, and then can we talk about Hulk-tile dysfunction? Right. He couldn't get it up because Thanos beat the shit out of him and scared his ass out of being the Hulk. Yeah. Right.
I have to use a suit of armor.
They show the Hulk in Wakanda in the trailers, and obviously he wasn't. But I kind of have come to terms with it and went, well, when have we ever seen Bruce Banner defeat someone by himself?
Yeah.
Without needing the Hulk, and he beat Cole Obsidian / Black Dwarf, and I mean that was pretty fucking awesome. So there's a lot of great moments. Ebony Maw's powers were cranked up to 11. He was terrifying. I didn't really like though that they made him the leader, the speaker of the Black Order, that Corvus Glaive said next to nothing the entire film. I really wanted more of him. They're supposed to be the most formidable people, and he got asked by Black Widow, who's the 13th strongest Avenger. Give me a fucking break, dude.
Yeah,
that pissed me off a little bit, but the battles were on point. I mean, the way they used magic, the way they used strength, the way they used Stark's new fucking bleeding edge armor suit.
Oh,
was ridiculous, dude. And when Doctor Strange went 1,000 Doctor Strange, everyone's levels were cranked up, and it still wasn't enough to fuck up Thanos, man.
That scene was incredible. I forgot about that for a second. I mean, the moon slinging. I don't know if there's any way to top that, and it's a scene that shouldn't look as good as it did, and it shouldn't feel as real as it did, but wow, I mean, it just...
And Stark's if you throw another moon at me, I'm going to get pissed. Can we talk about Star-Lord, who basically doomed them all? Because they were this close to getting that fucking gauntlet off, and he lost his shit.
Yeah.
I never hated Star-Lord more than that.
I know.
The woman next to me in the theater was like, don't do it. Oh, my God, he's going to do it. I was like, yeah, he's going to do it.
Yeah. He had a great plan, though. It just he didn't want it to see it through. So
I'm wondering if they're going to hold that over his head too. If there's any bad blood, we'll see.
Over what head?
Between Iron Man, because Iron Man's right, he's gone. Yeah. So that leads us into the last element of it, the mass extinction.
Wow.
The ultimate twist of basically en masse deleting characters from the MCU.
Right.
I have some issues.
Did you? Yeah. Okay, so if you had an issue, I'm actually curious more. Well, two things about what issues you might have with it, but then also, is there a character that broke it for you in a way
I mean,
I'll go first.
For me, you have to know.
My issue is that up until the point where he gets all the gauntlets and snaps his fingers, which Thor should have aimed for the head or at least the wrist. Cut that fucking hand off, whatever. Anyway, until he gets to that point, you've seen Loki die, you've seen Heimdall die, you've seen Gamora die. All of those deaths felt like they could be permanent, and I believed the stakes were sky high, and that they weren't going to just time stone it up and bring them back. It says the no resurrection thing. Until T'Challa, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Peter Quill die. Those 4 characters are integral to the franchises they are either a part of or are just now starting.
So they have confirmed movies.
That now nothing matters. It's just a what-if comic at this point.
Yeah,
and
I totally agree.
A little bit. They could have killed Okoye instead of Black Panther. They could have killed all the Guardians except for Quill. They could have just not killed Doctor Strange and left them with Tony Stark. But the only good part about killing all those characters is that the only person left on Titan besides Nebula is Stark, and he's sitting there realizing his nightmare from Age of Ultron that Scarlet Witch gave him, where he was the reason, because they bargained for his life, that they are all dead, and he's sitting there amongst the dust of his protege and his friends, and he can't do anything. So that poetic thing was the best part of it, but at the same point, like I wanted the stakes to be sky high, and as soon as they killed T'Challa, I was like, now it means nothing. Nothing means anything.
I agree totally. That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, well, we know. They're coming back. They have confirmed movies, so are they just going to bring back everybody? I guess now we just have to wait till the next one to find out. Like, it totally blew all the deaths in the movie. Like, to a
now you're just like, who aren't they going to bring back? Are they?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Like, it's basically just not Loki, right? That's the only one that's not going to come back.
Vision.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I am curious to an extent, like how we get these people back. If that's a feasible thing. And who actually comes back? I mean, we have confirmed franchises, yes, for those people. But what about the ones that are bit players or?
I feel like everybody who turned to dust is coming back.
I do too. I have that feeling that the ones that turned to dust are going to come back. The ones that were killed before Thanos snapped his fingers, they're not coming back.
Right. Yeah, that's what I feel like too. And
gotta bring Groot back. I still, even
all the original Avengers are still alive though, so they're obviously going to be the ones.
That's what's interesting to me too. They're all still alive, and then you add like Rocket, Nebula, Ant-Man's Wasp, and Captain Marvel. I mean, it's pretty interesting. But all the core 6 are still there. So that's kind of cool that they'll be there to finish the franchise, like their chapter of the franchise.
Yeah. I mean, even knowing, like, okay, these people are coming back, it still hurt to see Groot gone. I mean, it really...
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. And the way he went out.
And I was like, dude, that hurt my soul, because, like, everyone's tough until, like, they're dying, and then all of a sudden, he's, like, one of those guys in, like, the D-Day scene from Saving Private Ryan crying for his mom. Like, he's turned into a little kid, and I felt that one, even though I had already kind of made the decision that, okay, nothing matters now. It still hurt to watch him.
Oh, yeah.
And start feeling that for him.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So, I guess final score. I guess we'll go, let's see. Casey, Corey, me, Jeff.
Okay, so just wrap up thoughts. I gave me more things than any movie ever has, but because my expectations were so sky high, I thought that so many other things could happen and would happen and might happen. It was really hard. It's almost a hard movie to judge, because how do you? I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. It really is. I feel like the ending kind of nullified the tone of the film a little bit for me, so it goes down a little bit. But the interactions were great. Thor's weapon quest was great. Thor crying about the people he's lost, realizing he has no one now. Like, that was an emotional scene. I wasn't sure Hemsworth was even capable of portraying that, and it was great. I feel like the laughs were there, the shocks were there, the action was there. It's an Avengers movie that tested the limits of what an Avengers movie could be. For me, the balls it took to make this movie alone gives it like a 9 for me, and then I want to give it a perfect score, but just that end nullifying, and I wanted more Black Order. Hopefully, if they bring back the good guys, they bring back the bad guys, and I can have more Black Order. I want some Black Dwarf versus Hulk sort of situation, but that's just me, so I'll give it a 9.5.
Nice.
That's I can do.
Nice. Corey?
Yeah, I pretty much agree exactly with what Casey said. I mean, I loved every scene of it. Like I said, I mean, the whole movie I couldn't stop watching. Usually, like, usually if I have to pee in a movie, like I would rather not have to pee really bad in the end and like miss 1 minute of it and go take a quick pee break. But there's no spot in the whole movie to stop watching. It was great all the way through. I loved watching. Like you said, Thor's Weapon Quest was awesome. Thanos was awesome. Everything was just really great. But I agree with the ending 100%. That was my same complaint. Is they're coming back, so who's really dead? And that took away some of it for me. I give it a 9.
Right.
Wow, 9 straight up, huh?
So I think even knowing what I knew about the ending, it provided a variation for me on just or on the formula that we got in Empire Strikes Back. In that you knew that the heroes were coming back, but it really bothered you and sort of it did not sit well with you at the end. And I thought the fact that, or what they did exactly at the end, the number of people, was something that I don't think anybody's really seen before. So I'm going to give it a 9.6.
9.6.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments that led up to before Wakanda that I could go back and watch and see and maybe peel back some of those moments. I thought some of the dialogue was weird here and there, but I mean, it's just a bonkers movie and one of the best. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it. I will give it a 9.5, mostly because I didn't like the Phantom Menace kind of battle starting off in Wakanda. But a 9.5 is it was really good. It wasn't a perfect movie. I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect movie, honestly.
Right. I think 9's the highest score I've given to a Marvel movie. I usually give it.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, I think that was 9.2 for
what it covered. It's pretty amazing how they were able to meld all the different story arcs and keep you interested enough that they would jump between all of them at the same time.
Right.
And it gives you that sense that everything was happening at the same time in the timeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to go see it again just to catch what I missed the first time. And hopefully I won't be able to have to pee as bad as I did watching this movie.
Yeah, when I watched it the second time, the things that stood out to me is that Strange saw 14 million plus eventualities and only one where they won. And when he gave up the Time Stone, which is something he said earlier he would not do for Stark or for Spider-Man, he did for Stark because he saw obviously the future where he could give all the stones to Thanos, but as long as Stark was alive and a few of them were still there, not even himself, but a few of them, there was a chance. So whether it's Thanos being stuck in the Soul World with Gamora's child ghost and she convinces him to redo it all or whatever, there's going to be a way for them to fix this, and Doctor Strange has already seen it. And that makes me hopeful and excited. And the way he acts in that last scene where he's alive, when you see it a second time because you know it's coming, it means more. And it's really interesting because he looks like someone who is making the sacrifice play, but he knows exactly what he's doing.
Right. That's amazing. Also,
my prediction is Avengers 4 title is Endgame because he says it, that we're in the Endgame now. So I think that's a really cool title.
That's
totally back.
He called it, people. Just one more thought to piggyback on Casey's thought earlier. As a 14-year-old kid reading Infinity Gauntlet, the last thing I ever imagined was that there would be a movie of that comic book. I mean, it's mind-blowing.
And we had movies before it. It's crazy.
Right. And we have to. I got to give props
before it. Because
I got to give props to Jim Starlin here. Without Jim Starlin, we wouldn't have this badass that killed all these people for us. So he's Thanos' creator. So just shout out to Jim Starlin, and yeah, that was a fantastic fucking movie.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Word.
All right.
Well,
Till the next one.
yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Casey.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate it, man.
Great. Thanks everybody for
Always
watching.
fun.